So much. And with me now, aviation expert and pilot Kyle Bailey. All right, Kyle, there's a lot of talk about who should have reported what to whom. What we do know is that a Chinese vessel said that they heard a ping for 90 seconds and that this information is released through a Chinese-run news agency. Who should have been informed of this?
Australia should have been informed because they're basically running the operation, the search and the recovery efforts. And the International Civil Aviation Authority basically also has a jurisdiction, but Australia should have been notified.
All right. So let's assume that Australia is notified. What do we need now to actually find out if that ping belongs to the black box that was on 370?
That ping actually has to be analyzed with specific equipment and for the signal. And there's a lot of other things in the ocean that could actually interfere with that signal, such as mammals, caves.
Kyle, there's a lot of talk about this thing with, mammals and whales, everybody's singing underneath there, but people are saying that you can tell the difference between a mammal and a ping from a black box.
They're very similar. The high frequency and the percussion are very similar to like a mammal or possibly other equipment on the ocean floor, but there is a very distinct signal that puts out. So the answer to that question is if the operator of the equipment wasn't on the game, right, they could have misinterpreted that signal for something else.
And unfortunately, they didn't record it. But let's talk about the equipment to locate these pings.
Sure.
Is this equipment something that the Chinese government has?
The Chinese government should have it. I mean, they do have naval assets. I would assume that they would have it, based on the fact that they do have a navy and significant assets.
But we know that definitely we have this particular, what is it called?
The hydrophone submersible.
The hydrophone submersible. But if we confirm, or if they confirm, that there is a ping, and they're in a part of the world, Kyle, where they have a relatively unknown or unmapped ocean floor, how can they navigate the recovery underwater?
Conditions are very difficult. Like I said, it could be up to 20,000 feet deep, the ocean. Basically pitch black down there. Just to give you an example, how much of the ocean is unmapped, it would actually take over 500 years for a single ship to map the ocean floor. So around continents, that area is mapped, but when you get way out in the middle of nowhere, that's mapped, uncharted territory. There's caves, there's everything you can imagine going through there.
All right, and if the beacon stops working, how much harder will this make the search?
It could last, I would say, a couple years, 10 years, 15 years, God only knows.
All right, and do we know whether or not, if they identify the ping as coming from a Boeing 777, I mean, how is it a group investigation that goes down, or how does it work?
Basically, once it's identified and they find the black box and it's identified,
right,
it would go back to Honeywell, the manufacturer of the black box,
which is in the United States.
Yes. And they would interpret all that information.
All right.
It's basically its own specific data that has to be interpreted.
So then, irrespective of who actually brings up the black box, assuming that this ping is from the black box and assuming that black box is from 370, it comes back to the United States for interpretation?
Yes.
Very interesting.
Or their experts would go to where the black box is, I would assume.
All right. Kyle, thanks so much for that information. And coming up,